Alright, everybody. Welcome to our video review. As you can see, Raptor Lord 141 has joined me in Cataclysmic headquarters.
AKA your apartment.
Indeed, but it does for now.
Indeed.
Quite. As you can both see, we are of drinking age.
Holy balls!
He has no palate.
No, I'm not used to scotch.
And, oh dear, I do believe I've
pooed.
No, we are not playing Ark, where you just
it
randomly defecate.
It does not. It does not help that I've just been marathoning the ever-loving hell out of Ark.
Especially seeing as how we just went and saw Jurassic World, which is the theme of tonight's review, we should say. As the title is, Jurassic World. A fantastically awesome way to lose your job. Part
Sorry,
one.
were you talking?
Yes. Do you want me to hit you?
Oh, baby.
Do you want the ball gag, or shall we try it without?
Anyway.
So, he has been an avid lover of the Jurassic Park series since the first one back in '93, over 20 years ago.
Except the fact that I was 2 when that movie came out, but I've been a lover of Jurassic Park since I was a little kid. I even remember seeing Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 in theaters.
I never went to see I actually didn't see any of them in theaters except for Jurassic World, but I have seen them. And on an overall scale from 1 to 10, 10 being, of course, the highest, and 1 being utter shit, realistically...
How would we rank this film?
I'd say realistically it's a solid 8.
See, I gotta say... Actually, I agree with that. About an 8 out of 10.
It leaves a lot to the imagination, yet it also hits those funny points where you got in the first one. Like the kids hopping in and out of the fucking car.
And Dr. Malcolm saying that was one big pile of shit.
Yeah. However, granted, if you go to see it and you're deaf, dumb, and blind...
You won't enjoy it.
You won't enjoy it, nor will you get to see the homages to the original Jurassic Park, which are splattered all over the movie.
Although, the movie opening up, like every one of the Jurassic Park films, at the beginning, somebody dies. And I was expecting that to return as part of the history, almost. But, no, nobody dies. I, honest to God, thought I was watching the Santa Claus at the beginning.
Which was quite entertaining. But
I think I actually said, bullshit, I want a refund.
No, you didn't. You were sitting there giggling like a little girl.
Go die.
However, I do have to say, yet, as far as the movie goes, it should have been Jurassic Park 3, then Jurassic World.
What, are we just cutting out Lost World altogether?
I think
Though at the same time, while many people view Jurassic Park 3 as the black sheep, honestly, I loved it a lot more than I liked 2. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy 2, but
2 was...
3 just had that desperate struggle for survival.
That 1 had.
Yeah. 2 is just like...
Oh god, dinosaurs.
Oh god, dinosaurs. Let's cage them.
Oh
Let's
god,
take
dinosaurs.
them back to San Diego.
Thus creates another problem. But I'd love to be interested... I'd be really interested to see how they manage... I think if they made a small, maybe a webisode or something, of how they managed to tame enough of the dinosaurs and put them into cages.
Well, that's not the point. It's always been they breed them and basically just kind of lay the eggs.
So what do they do? Just gas the whole island and then...
No. I mean, like, Dr. Wu would create the embryos, fertilize the eggs and whatnot, and then they just take the eggs out to their cage.
But I truly have to say, that's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to make is that there are the two islands, Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna. And when Jurassic World starts, it's on Isla Nublar.
Yeah, Nublar,
the
island from the first film.
How did they clear enough area and tame enough of those dinosaurs to be able to build Jurassic World?
They sent in the Ark survivors.
That's what I'm wondering. Did they gas the whole island and just start anew?
That's an interesting question. I want to see a prequel to Jurassic World.
I don't want to necessarily see a whole prequel, because when you go with...
But maybe like...
As I said, a webisode. Like a 30-minute webisode of just how they decided, how they managed to, number one, fund it. Number two, figure out how to kill everything on that island.
I think what they did, they sent Dr. Alan Grant and... what was his name? Roland from the second film in just with rifles, and they, like badasses, just cleared the island.
Yeah, but as you've seen from Jurassic World, rifles don't always work.
And they resurrected Cooper from number 3. The dude at the beginning with the Barrett. I'm sorry, a Barrett will take a dinosaur down.
Well, it didn't do necessarily so well in Jurassic Park 3. It did great against that plane carcass, but not so well against a dinosaur when you have to set it up. I'm sorry, but I don't care how badass you are, you cannot fire a Barrett 50 cal from the hip.
And if you can, shoot me a video. I want to see this.
And you can't fall over. If you fall over or stumble in any way...
#Raptor Barrett request.
If you ever say hashtag again...
Fuck off.
I don't know. What were your opinions of being... Since you've been a avid Jurassic Park fan since the beginning.
I loved it. Granted, I have my own criticisms of the film. We'll get to that, but
well, now
I loved it. I had fun with it.
And that was the thing, is that they didn't pin it as a serious movie. I think that's the thing that 2 fell victim to, is they tried to pin it so serious.
I don't quite think that, but
well,
I get where you're coming from.
It was like, oh, we have to save the dinosaurs. Oh, we have to cage him. Now we have to save him, Oh no, my child. Oh no. Which, granted, that's been a recurring theme throughout the whole fucking Jurassic Park thing. Why is it always when children are involved, shit hits the fan with Jurassic Park? Think about it. Number 1, children cause problems. Granted, the one...
I don't know, because in a sense, Tim in Jurassic Park 1, the original, kind of invoked the T-Rex using those night vision goggles that kind of put off sounds.
Well...
In 2, there's... I don't remember the little black girl.
Yeah, that one chick that was...
Dr. Malcolm's
daughter.
Yeah.
And then...
What she's been up to lately.
That is an interesting thought, but we can return to that. And then in 3,
she's scared, so she goes up to the hideaway up in the trees.
Which if I remember correctly,
kind of gets the T-Rex's attention.
Yeah. And then in 2, the thing that truly got the T-Rex's attention was that the baby T-Rex
That's true.
was screaming its head off.
Yeah. And in 3, the whole film centered around rescuing their son.
Yeah. Which I thought was...
Congratulations, little one. You just got 4 people killed.
Yeah, congratulations. And then on this one, the whole movie, spoiler alert, predicates around saving 2 children.
Yeah. Well, this whole video is going to be spoiler alert.
Well,
watch at your own risk.
From what we'd said up until that point, had been relatively not so spoilerish, you know?
But the film basically starts out, these 2 kids are, going to the new Jurassic World, which is basically after 22 years since the original has blossomed into a full functioning theme park involving dinosaurs.
Which apparently had been running for, 4 or 5 years
it had been
already.
Running for a little while, something like that.
And then you add children to the mix, you give them VIP badges.
Yeah.
And then shit hits the fan.
But these kids are basically the park's operations manager. What was her name? Claire?
Claire something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can tell we paid a lot of attention, folks. But,
I was more in it for the dinosaurs. But
yeah.
At the same time, Chris Pratt's a badass.
And he's got a fine ass. What?
Fag.
But, in all actuality, I think, I truly think that if there ever is to be a sequel,
I don't look like an alcoholic on film.
If there ever is to be a sequel for Jurassic World, for the love of God, do not add children. You might actually see the park survive.
That's an interesting thought, though. What would they do with sequels?
Nuke the place.
Yeah, that's going back toward the end. At the very end, there's a camera shot just panning out on the island in ruins. I, honest to God, expected bombers to come in.
Well, no, I mean, it'd be better just to have a tactical nuke, because, I mean, let's face it. If you're going to eradicate some dinosaurs, you better do it properly.
Thermonuclear bomb.
Exactly. Now, criticisms, there were plenty.
My biggest complaint against the film, CGI. For the love of God, why didn't they just build animatronics like they did for all the others?
Well, because animatronics are expensive.
They had a $150 million budget, which, come here, laptop.
Well, if you think about it, $150 million has to go into equipment rental.
Yeah, the first Jurassic Park film had a $63 million budget.
Yeah, but that was also in '93. Inflation rates have to be applied since then.
Still, it's not that extreme.
True, but you have to realize, for what they're trying to do, like, for the amount of dinosaurs that they had, you needed to have a decent amount of CGI. Yeah, I think a lot of movies these days are falling victim to the CGI curse, but there's plenty of movies out there that don't. If you want to see dinosaurs and fanciful sci-fi shit, then you better expect some CGI.
Dino Croc versus Super Gator.
That was completely CGI.
No shit, it was a sci-fi original movie.
I'm surprised they could even afford CGI, but, I mean...
it was a horrible movie, but...
You don't watch
by God, it was fun to watch, though.
Yeah, you don't watch those movies to be totally engrossed and entertained by it.
It's kind of like if you watch Tommy Wiseau's The Room. It's a horrible movie, but it's so damn fun to watch, just because of all the horrible acting and all that good stuff, the horrible story. But it's just played off like something totally serious, and that's what makes it entertaining.
Well, again, and that's...
Hey, back to the matter at hand.
Well, Sharknado.
I never saw that one.
Nor have... I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I don't think I could sit through and watch the whole thing. I truly don't.
Do we have to now?
Probably, but...
But as the film progresses, you start to see some of the dinosaurs, and the kids kind of go off on their own. They sneak away from their aunt, who's Claire, the operations manager. They sneak off and kind of start exploring the park.
And this is why you shouldn't let children roam free. In a park full of dinosaurs, most of which can kill you in ways you can't even imagine.
Right, and then we come to one scene where, Chris Pratt has basically tamed the raptors. Or what were they? Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo?
Something like that. Were you going somewhere with that?
I think so.
I mean...
But... And then there comes this big bad military guy, apparently employed by InGen, the company who developed the first Jurassic Park.
Because somehow they haven't gone bankrupt through the 3 movies.
Yeah, never mind the hundreds of people that InGen has gotten killed.
Hundreds?
Well,
Do you mean thousands?
Not thousands.
You saw the San Diego incident.
I guess, yeah, there was the San Diego incident, but you didn't really see the T-Rex killing a whole lot of people. It was just cats and dogs.
Okay, that's one of my biggest criticisms, too, is that they didn't fall victim to it so much in this one, but a lot of, dinosaur movies or movies where people get eaten, films always tend to fall victim to the fact where you don't actually see them being eaten.
I don't know, there's a lot of scenes in Jurassic Park where you see them get eaten.
There are plenty where in Jurassic Park, yes.
In the original Jurassic Park, there was when the T-Rex knocks over the bathroom, breaks into it, and eats the lawyer. When I was a kid, I had a dual VHS set of it, which was, tape 1 was the movie and tape 2 was the making of. Basically, it really was an innovation in CGI back then. Because obviously they couldn't have an animatronic T-Rex eat the damn lawyer.
Why not? Rid the world of one more lawyer. I mean, come on.
I know a few lawyers are good people.
Some of them are good, but then you get...
Some are soul-sucking bastards.
That's giving them too much credit. But, for example...
My biggest question with Jurassic World... Velociraptors... Paleontologists have discovered that velociraptors were incredibly intelligent for being 75 million years old.
Go on.
But they had discovered, just by doing brain scans and whatnot of the brain cavity in the skulls, that they were incredibly intelligent. And possibly could be tamed, but it's like the movie explains, Owen, who's played by Chris Pratt, being new to the island. How the hell would he tame him that fast?
Yeah. I think to tame raptors, you truly would have to start. You have to work with them from birth.
Yeah, they did kind of elaborate on that too.
But
that he was around when they were young.
But I think you'd have to actively grow with them and work with them, so they looked upon you as one of their own.
Yeah.
So you could then mingle with them and rape their women.
Because he had basically explained himself that he had basically he'd taken on the role of the alpha male.
Yeah.
With Blue being the beta. I like Blue. Blue was probably my favorite character in that movie.
Wasn't he the only raptor that didn't die?
Yeah, Blue was the only raptor that didn't die.
Now he has no friends.
Remember, every dinosaur in Jurassic Park is a female.
Because that seemed to have worked the first few times.
Well, the idea was not to have males and females. And females are easier to engineer, you just deny them the Y chromosome.
That Y chromosome, man.
All in!
I don't know. I'm looking for something to beat you with. Give me a moment.
Use the broken Nokia.
Oh, Lord.
That's a story for another day.
If you question it in the comments. But, truly, I have to say, another thing, like, when there's a lot of CGI, and I have to give him props for this, when there's a lot of CGI, one thing that a lot of movies fall victim to is reflections.
Yeah.
They didn't in Jurassic World. I gotta give him props for that. Because I half expected... There's a scene where the kids are going around in this giant ball.
It's kind of like a hamster ball on steroids, but it's basically a gyroscopically stable sphere that's made of like reinforced steel and reinforced glass.
Yeah, which,
let's face it, did not work very well.
Like everything else in Jurassic Park. But in all actuality, I think with all the CGI dinosaurs that they had around them, they didn't fall victim to cutting out and not adding the reflections to the ball of most of the dinosaurs. Yeah, there were a few that it didn't reflect, but you could tell they did quite a bit to make sure it looked as realistic as possible to the point.
As much as I hate the use of CGI in these cases, I'd rather see the animatronics. They did a damn good job with the CGI in this film.
I think I'd rather see the animatronics when I went to, like, a science center to see, like, dinosaurs on ice or something, you know?
But in a sense, in the original movies, they were real. Because they were skinned and all that.
I always had a problem with one. I mean, granted, because, you know, in today's day and age, you always get used to all the CGI and everything, but in one, you go back and look at it, the giant...
At least it's not
with a long neck. Brontosaur. You could definitely tell that was CGI in '93. Well, you could definitely. But
yeah. Well, the original had a mix of animatronics and CGI, but you could almost never tell it. It really didn't.
Anywho, as you were saying, sorry about that, folks. We had
fire truck
passing, so we.
Which it doesn't help that you live on a college campus.
Well, that too, but I mean. I'd rather... Anyway, but as you were saying.
But it was a mix of... The original was a mix of CGI and animatronics. They really did pioneer CGI, though. In the context of, like, monster movies.
Well, I mean, not only monster movies, but you've also got movies like Star Wars, where CGI is basically king.
The original Star Wars CGI did not exist back in the late 70s.
Yeah, back in the late 70s, 80s. It was all...
special effects.
God, those were the days.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I'm just kind of glad that Michael Bay didn't direct Jurassic World, otherwise everything would be getting blown the fuck up. But
I don't know, that might be entertaining.
Like I said, at the end of the movie, I honest to God expected, B-52 bombers to come in and...
They haven't used B-52s in, I think, a little over a decade.
Well, it is the Costa Rican government we're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't think it'd be the Costa Ricans handling it.
Why? It's technically their territory.
Yeah, but I think the Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna islands have become such an international crockpot of stupidity and problems that...
Not necessarily stupidity, but gone awry.
I don't really think that we'd see bombers. There'd just be this missile that came in.
The United States just fires in a cruise missile.
Probably. I mean...
Get out some of those old Soviet... not Soviet, but, Cold War era IRBMs and just launch that bitch into it. Let's set off Trinity.
God. Let us... See, that's the thing, is if we were running Jurassic World...
More to come on that one.
More to come on that one, hint, hint. Truly, there would be...
If you and I were running Jurassic World, there would be contingency plans out the fast.
Well, that's the thing. It always seems that no matter what
It always
anybody
seems-
has done, no matter what contingency plans they've had, it always includes somebody running in 3-inch heel pumps, trying to get away from a goddamn raptor. And
I mean, at least in the first film, they had what they called the lysine contingency. Lysine being, what is it, an enzyme?
something like that.
Every living thing needs to live. That they do not supply the dinosaurs with. They have to feed them it for them to survive, and the idea is that they basically, if something goes horribly wrong, they just hunker down in the bunker and wait a week for them to drop dead of the lack of this lysine.
However, that didn't quite work.
As Dr. Malcolm said, nature will find a way.
Yeah. Because did they, run across some eggs or something?
No, it was more a matter of, well, apparently in the first film, some of these chicks just spontaneously grew dicks.
That's right, they changed sexes because of some frog gene.
Yeah.
Well, I just find...
And that's the case in Jurassic World 2. They're spliced with frog DNA to fill in the gaps.
Well, not only frog DNA, but also DNA from just basically any animal they could grab out of the fucking grab bag.
We'll get to Indominus in a second.
Oh, God. We haven't gotten there yet?
No. But basically, as the film goes on, Chris Pratt saves his colleague after he falls into the raptor pit by going in there, stopping the raptors, because apparently stand down means get the fuck back.
Stop in the name of love.
Oh my god, I can't believe you just went there.
But
you have effectively ruined the movie for me.
Good. Alright. So, I think...
But as the movie progresses...
shit goes wrong.
Well, no fucking shit. We wouldn't have a Jurassic Park movie without it.
Except it's not a Jurassic Park.
Now it's Jurassic World, but either way.
Which I don't understand. It's still a park. It's not a world.
But basically, the corporation running Jurassic World wants to beef up tourism. So they basically have Dr. Wu, who was the chief geneticist from the first film.
Who, by the way, has gotten a bit old. I'm sorry, that turtleneck was not flattering.
But he basically creates, the ultimate hybrid carnivore. That's supposed to be, I think they said, 50 feet in length at full growth.
Something like that.
It's supposed to be, way bigger than the T-Rex. Which there were plenty of dinosaurs way bigger than the T-Rex, but... yeah, not to mention the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3.
I forget, wasn't there a duel between the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex at one point?
Yeah, and then the Spinosaurus snapped the T-Rex's neck.
That's right, because the T-Rex always seems to be getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, more on that.
Yeah.
So, they create what they believe to be the ultimate housing environment for what they've called Indominus Rex, which is the new super hybrid. And
it fails. Yeah. Quite miserably.
So they bring Chris Pratt over, and because of the DNA used in creating it, which was...
it was some type of reptile.
That can camouflage itself.
Well, it wasn't camouflage, it was, it could hide itself from thermal imaging.
It could mask itself, it could mask its own heat signature, like a lot of reptiles could.
But they also spliced it with the DNA of a raptor, which made it highly intelligent.
Yeah.
So they had all of
the
this...
T-Rexes were fairly smart themselves, but...
they lacked from
What it does is actually kind of ingenious, because it basically claws at the wall to kind of lure them in, and then just snaps.
But, we'll get back to that after the break, but I have a huge problem with basically that whole scenario. That's what I have a big criticism about. But we'll come back to that after the break. Welcome back, everybody, from our short break. Where we left off, we were talking about the Indominus Rex, and it...
Basically, it's more or less an ingenious plan to escape.
Yeah. The biggest problem I have with it is you'd think that that place is supposed to be watched all the time by cameras, by people, and everything, right?
Snipers.
Anything, yeah. But how is this dinosaur allowed to scratch the fuck out of a wall without anybody noticing anything? I mean, seriously, if you'd think somebody would notice something.
Hey, where'd that bitch go? Hey, that bitch is clawing the wall.
Or something to that effect.
But basically, it lures Chris Pratt
and two other workers.
and two of the other security agents.
Well, they're not security agents, they're just workers.
Well, one was a security guard, the other one was a worker.
No, both of them were workers.
This is cold.
That's what she said.
Just like my heart.
I think somebody would notice that thing running around and scratching a wall, and especially if it gotten outside of the thing, you'd think alarms would go off, right?
Yeah. And to be fair, after hearing that they were going to do like a hybrid dinosaur, I didn't know how I felt about that.
Granted, it was scary. I mean, as scary as a dinosaur can be.
But then they go down into the cage to try to find it, and then, oh god, how did they find out it was still there? The tracking device.
The tracking device, which they should have checked in the first place,
still showed it was there.
Still showed it was in there.
So that they're all kind of stuck in the cage with that thing.
And of course, the scratches are on the other side of the cage from the door they came in and out of, which is big enough for a human, but not big enough for a dinosaur.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, they just locked it after they went in. And then, of course...
I think it does that automatically.
Well...
Because if you leave a door open, it's a structural weak point.
Right.
But if it's closed, it forms into part of the wall.
But then after the Indominus Rex reveals itself and starts coming after them just solely on the instinct to kill shit, apparently.
It woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Or it had a case of the Mondays.
It's starting to, charge at them, and the dumbass of a security guard.
Of course it's the one who can't run very fast.
Overrides the lock.
And opens the main door.
Yeah.
And at least somebody in the control room was smart enough to say, close it.
Yeah.
But of course it was too late.
And then Indominus just kind of breaks through the little crack that was left that it was able to slip through. Basically like, where is your god now?
Kills the guy who opened the door for him.
Yeah.
Where Chris Pratt covers himself in gasoline.
I didn't get that. Why did he cover himself in gasoline?
The smell of the gas fumes will override your actual body smell.
So I didn't get that. Okay. Makes sense
I have
now.
friends who used to hunt, so...
I was starting to think, it's like...
I thought he was crazy because he smoked, and every once in a while, he'd cover himself in gasoline when he went to his hunt, and then he'd be up in the tree stand smoking. I was like, you idiot.
This is not Burning Man. No, I honestly
He
God
might
thought
have
he
been
was
a
gonna,
Burning Man, but...
I honest to God thought he was going to try to, pour some of the gasoline out toward the Indominus.
Well, I
just,
guess if
try
shit
to
went...
strike a match.
I guess if shit really went wrong, I guess he could have just said, well... He could have ended it right there. He could have given his life
to
and his
save
perfectly
countless
formed
others.
ass to callously save the entire island.
Instead, by the end, they're shut down. Families have been destroyed.
the bitch of the assistant's been killed in... At least I guess it might have been a quick death.
I'm gonna be carried around by a pterosaur? That's
Well,
not until later, though.
No, that was pretty close to right after that.
No, it wasn't until the kids are lost in the park.
Because the kids decide to go off-roading and go into a restricted area where there are free dinosaurs.
And again, they're in this little hamster ball looking thing that's supposed to be gyroscopically stable and shit like that.
But when it receives a giant whack to it by, what is those?
That was an ankylosaur.
Ankylosaur, and it hits a tree, it shorts out the gyroscopic
and cracks
computer.
the glass.
Well, it didn't necessarily crack the glass, did it?
It did some damage.
It did some damage, but it...
Basically paving the way for Indominus to kill the ankylosaur and then break the glass. They book it into the woods.
Yeah. Then they jump off a waterfall, swim to safety, and at least the older one had the sense to hold his little brother under and say, wait,
yeah,
don't just surface right away. Because I have a feeling the Indominus might have just jumped in after him if he had...
Yeah.
So they run away. Then Claire and Owen come looking for him, and on their way to find them...
broken hamster ball.
Well, on the way there, they find that the Indominus Rex has just been killing everything it sees.
It was so funny. She picks up the older kid's cell phone that he had dropped in the escape, which was like a Samsung Galaxy, something like that.
It was probably an S6.
Right, but...
Product placement.
She's... Yeah, everybody was using Samsungs in that.
Yeah, product placement.
Nice not to see iPhones everywhere.
Yeah, that was... I think the people who had iPhones were the ones that died.
Damn it all. But she picks up the phone, sees that it's cracked, and then she starts crying. It's like, what kind of day and age do we live in?
When you cry at the sight of a broken phone. I mean, I'd cry a little bit if my phone got broken. I mean, with my Nokia, when I broke it...
Somehow this son of a bitch managed to invoke the full powers of Satan to break this thing.
Well, apparently when I broke it, I cried a little bit, but I was also very drunk. So... I think that's how it got broken. But then Owen's like, oh, well, they escaped.
After seeing their footprints.
Right.
Which, that makes sense. It wasn't like him trying to be all hopeful and optimistic, like, oh, yeah, I'm sure they escaped. It was like, no, look, footprints.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they end up... Then it comes back onto the kids again, where they stumble upon the old
welcome center from the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah, which is now heavily, rooted with new forest and trees.
Yeah.
Because apparently you could get giant-ass fucking trees in that cleared area in 22 years.
Well...
I mean, I'm sorry.
Vines and ivy and shit, and I'd expect...
No, there were fucking,
trees.
like, oaks that were there, that were California red oaks. I mean, I'm sorry, but in 22 years, if you could grow a tree like that, then the people who keep bitching about deforestation should shut the fuck up. So anyway, they stumble in...
They stumble in on the old welcome center from the original film. At the very end where the two velociraptors are taking on the T-Rex, and T-Rex ends up throwing the raptors into the dinosaur skeletons.
Yeah, so... they explore that and find a Jeep, and they get in the Jeep and they
somehow
escape.
This 16-year-old kid is able to completely remanufacture a car that hasn't been touched in 22 years. Really,
I mean, oil would be fine, gasoline would still be fine.
Gas does deteriorate, though.
But...
I guess you might be able to get a few miles out, which I guess
when you heard the car turn over, you could tell it was running rough.
Yeah.
But what kind of annoyed me is he said, oh yeah, I only failed the driving part of my driving test. He then somehow knows how to drive stick. Like a fucking champ
Like a boss.
No, not like a fucking pro racer. I mean, he managed to hit that. He hit that gear change like somebody who drove stick for a living. And I don't mean that in the gay sense. But it just pisses me off. And all of this is happening.
It's like if that were me, my second car that I owned, that I had it for about a year and a half, was a stick, so I got pretty good at it. But even then, I'd be rusty.
That's the thing. Most people who haven't driven stick and like even if that kid at 16 in this day and age, he'd be learning how to drive a car in an automatic, not a stick.
Maybe auto stick, but
yeah, auto stick. Yeah, that's a different story. Yeah, you could pretend there's a clutch, but there's not.
Yeah, but it's like on a stick, one little fuck up and that bitch stalls out. Yeah.
And that's not really the kind of thing
realistically, he would have been, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop.
Eventually, he probably could have gotten his eye in and gotten it. But by that time, they would have had to push the Jeep back and change the transmission from the old one.
Yeah, which would have defeated them.
Hey,
let's go remanufacture the other Jeep.
Yes, because I've broken this one.
Bro, you might want to let me drive.
I don't think he could reach the pedals.
What was it?
But that's the other thing, too, is that he says, turn it over. That kid couldn't reach the clutch to turn it over. There's just little things that, I mean, you always get that with all movies. But
like we said, 8 out of 10. Great film, but with some problems.
Yeah. We're just nitpicking with those problems. But it's just like, so anyway,
this is coming from two people who actually used to drive stick.
Yeah. But at one point, so anyway, the kids, I forget their names.
Come your Wikipedia.
Hey, so the kid, we'll just keep referring to them as the children.
Gray and Zach.
Okay, so Gray and Zach.
Maybe it was a kid Gray.
Well,
Shades of Gray.
Not 50 Shades, just Shades of Grey.
Yes, because if it was 50 Shades of Grey, I'd have to revoke his man card.
Anyway, so they managed to remanufacture this 1992 Jeep, which 92 Jeeps were not the greatest Jeeps in the world.
Actually, back in the early 90s, Jeeps were very stable.
But they always broke down and the reason they made so many parts for them is because they kept breaking down.
I grew up a fan of Jeeps. Maybe that's because my grandpa had one and I used to love riding around with him in it. But
anyway, so they escape. Then Claire and Owen.
Clive Owen.
Claire and Owen.
Random BBC reference for you all,
apparently,
folks.
Yeah. Claire and Owen managed to just be close enough behind them where they hear the Jeep start up and take off.
And that's kind of what gets Indominus's attention again.
So, as the kids are driving away back towards the park, God damn it, Claire and Owen run up on the scene and figure out,
Bust up in the room and say, "Motherfucker, freeze," as he's pointing his rifle around.
No, he wasn't pointing it around. He just walked in there with the gun out.
True, okay.
I mean... And then he sets it down next to the other Jeep.
Right, and then as soon as Indominus walks away and climbs on top of the building, apparently, without that bitch collapsing.
Well, it did collapse, but
True, okay. But he grabs his rifle again, the building collapses, and then the park's CEO...
in between this, back at the control center...
Who's this badass Indian guy, I gotta say, but...
Was he Indian?
He sounded Indian.
Probably Saudi, but anyway.
Right.
He was an oil baron, so...
Right, so some sort of Middle Eastern / Lower Asian...
Gentleman, yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so...
He was a badass. I loved his character. I was so sad to see him go.
So, at a point, they managed to fix this chain gun to a helicopter. And they
flies it in.
And they're during the whole flight, he's talking to the guys that are with him with the ARU,
right?
And the guy who gets on the chain gun is like, oh, he's right there. I'm sorry, but at one point he asks, oh, hang on. What was the guy's name? The leader? The owner?
I don't recall his name offhand, but...
The guy who owns the park asks him, he's like, oh, did you guys serve? And I was like, yeah, I served in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and
but the thing that pisses me off is that they couldn't shoot this thing that's the size of a house.
Apparently somebody who served in Afghanistan doesn't know to lead the target.
Yeah, no wonder they're ex-military. And Indominus
basically just smashes into the old bird cage.
No, it's not the old bird cage, it's the new bird cage.
Yeah, it's the new one, okay.
So he smashes into the bird cage.
Frees the pterosaurs.
Frees some of them, which the pterosaurs then attack the helicopter.
Making that crash in a fucking glorious hail of fire.
Releasing all of the rest of the pterosaurs.
Yeah. Which then proceed to wreak hell on the rest of the park. Including where Claire's assistant, who was supposed to be watching the kids, gets picked up, dropped again, picked up by another pterosaur, and then makes the mistake of flying over the lagoon, where the mosasaur comes up and just snatches their ass up out of the air.
So she could be alive inside the giant fish, but I think by the end of the movie she's dead, but... Because if you think about it, she's still...
Suddenly I'm thinking of the Bible...
She's still because she never actually got she would have been
Jonah and the whale.
She would have been severely wounded, but
she'd have been torn in half the size of that thing.
But the thing is that she would have fit in the mouth hole. The thing wouldn't even have to have bit her in half.
But it did.
Did it? Because it bit the pterosaur bite in half.
Right.
She would have been below where the teeth were.
She would have been right in the teeth.
Would she?
Yeah.
Because I thought that's where the pterosaur's neck was.
Either way, the bitch is dead.
Either way, the bitch is dead. And she was a bitch to begin with, so I didn't really care. I just thought her death was kind of cruel.
A mosasaur wouldn't really be that big in reality, though. That'd be more... What are those things called?
Giant thing of death.
The name's going to come to me as soon as we stop recording.
Well, so... We continue on.
Leoplorodon is what I'm thinking of. The Leoplorodon.
Anyway.
Charlie, it's the magical Leoplorodon, Charlie. Charlie the unicorn. God, I spent too much time on the internet. But that thing was like the size of a Leoplorodon, but it was supposed to be a mosasaur. But granted, at the beginning they did state that all the dinosaurs were engineered to be bigger. To sell more.
Yeah. Going back to where they're watching it kill or eat the great white shark, I kind of felt like all those people taking pictures with their tablets, their phones, and everything. All that shit would have been ruined in all of that water.
When I saw that too,
I'm sorry, but
Jurassic World is not responsible for damaged electronics.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I hope you have AppleCare, bitches.
AppleCare and whoever the fuck handles the shit for Android,
Shurion,
would be getting calls out the ass.
Yeah, hey Apple, can you express replace me a phone to Isla Nublar? Sorry, man, you gotta be in the States. Well, that's policy for anything. Right. You gotta have your device replaced in the country it was made for. Like,
no one cares.
Fuck off.
We're talking about Jurassic Park, not what happens when you replace your phone.
Not Apple Android policies.
Anyway, so a team moves in and tranquilizes the pterosaurs.
Actually, they don't really tranquilize them. They just shoot the bitches down.
No, they trank them.
Really?
Yeah, they trank them.
Didn't you remember them saying the first time that they sent a team into the jungle to basically just recover the Indominus, which
was a mistake.
Yeah, it's like they gave one person a shotgun, the other ones had, stun guns and nets and shit like that to stun it.
I'm sorry, but can I get something with depleted uranium rounds?
Yeah, and that's the point where you realize, shit's happening. When you start seeing them flatlining on the monitor.
That's where you evacuate the entire park.
Yeah.
Which, of course, they're like, oh no, we can still save us. No. just evacuate the park.
And even if Jurassic World could have recovered from something like an incident like this, there would be lawsuits out the
They'd have
ass.
no money left. Nobody would want to come after that kind of an incident.
It's like the military dude said, or not military, the InGen person.
Yeah, well, military's close enough.
Who basically wants to weaponize the Velociraptors.
Which,
for the
thank
troops.
God he got eaten.
By
A Velociraptor.
Raptors. But where was I going with that thought?
Anyway, so a lot more shit happens. Owen finds out that the military guy's trying
basically taken over and
taken
trying
over.
to send the Raptors after Indominus.
Well, he's not trying. He's sending the Raptors after Indominus. Well, fast forward a little bit. The Raptors managed basically turn on everybody and lead everybody into a
that's
trap.
where we find out that one of the splices is Raptor genes.
Yeah. Which is just like...
Which explains why the Indominus is so damned intelligent, but...
Which is like, really...
This is after Indominus goes on a killing spree, killing like all the Brontosaurs, which the Brontosaurs in reality would have stood together to fight it. Brontosaurs were pack animals.
But at the same time, you have to see all of them die. Like, they were all dead in a group. So... But you have to realize that the Indominus Rex was an intelligent animal, so it could have taken all of those.
One at a time, maybe, but I don't think it could have done it all in a pack.
Okay, anybody who's good at animating, perhaps do something like where you can...
Indominus versus the Brontosaurs.
But it has to be a pack. Not a pack of Indominus, but a pack of Brontosaurs.
Oh, God!
Yeah, that...
1 down, 10 to
go. That's where you just launch the nuke.
Yeah.
There's nothing left you can do. Well, anyway, so moving on, we come in. So after being led into a trap, they escape back to the main park. They're running for the control room to basically hide, because apparently it's safe in the control room. Because apparently the control room in Jurassic Park 1 was safe.
Never mind the Raptors getting through the glass, but...
Yeah, because some idiot...
Grant shooting at them.
No. He shot at them through the glass, which is how they broke through. Had he not shot the glass, it would have been a little harder for him to get through the glass.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did it come through the glass? Grant! God rest your soul, John Hammond.
Anyway, so they get back to the main compound where they get confronted by the 2 raptors. The raptors, or actually it's 3 raptors still.
Yeah, because it was earlier in the scene where the raptors are kind of confronting Indominus and they just start to communicate.
Well,
and that's where you find out that Indominus is part raptor.
Well,
basically takes over as the alpha male, which this case would be alpha female, but I digress.
The alpha.
Yeah, the alpha. And
well, by the time they get back,
lose 3 of the raptors, and Chris Pratt's trying to calm one of them in the jungle, and then one of them gets hit with
a rocket,
a freaking rocket,
which was kind of cool, but
yeah. That was blue.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
I've got the damn Wikipedia page open.
I didn't think it was blue.
Yeah, it was blue.
I thought blue was there at the end still.
Yeah. Blue was the lone survivor of the raptors.
But you just said he died from a rocket.
I didn't say she died. She just was close to a rocket, I guess. Somebody fires a rocket at the raptor, and that's all we see.
I thought it died.
Nobody confirmed the kill.
Well, other than the fact that the camera wasn't working on its head.
Yeah. But
anyway, so Owen and Claire and the kids they run outside again, which really where they're confronted by the 3 raptors. Owen basically lays down his gun because he's like, well, fuck it. Manages to reassert himself as the alpha.
And that's when the pack turn, the three left turn on Indominus and get killed.
Well, 2 of them get killed. Blue survives.
Blue wasn't in that pack, though. Blue comes back later.
No.
Okay, let me explain. Because it was when Claire basically said, when Indominus is just attacking everything, killing everyone in sight that she can find. Claire,
that's when one of the kids is like...
Yeah, Claire basically says... Yeah, one of the kids says, we need more teeth.
So Claire runs, and this is the part that pisses me off. Is that I don't know drag queens that could run that fast in those heels.
Yeah.
They could have done without doing that whole running away from or leading the T-Rex to the Indominus Rex. They could have done without doing that in slow motion.
But yeah, she basically goes over to the Tyrannosaur paddock and radios her the last remaining person in the control room to unlock the gate so the T-Rex can come out. Whips out a flare.
Because
kind of like Ian Malcolm did in the first one.
Yeah, or second, third.
But she runs her ass off, leads him back to the Indominus. Leads her back to the Indominus, whatever.
Leads it.
Right. And just chucks the flare at the Indominus.
And the Indominus looks at her like, really? And then the T-Rex, they have a battle with Raptors and T-Rex and Indominus.
And then all the Raptors there get killed, but then as the T-Rex is down on the ground ready to be killed, that's when Blue shows up on the scene.
Ah. And then basically attacks
Blue basically
the Indominus.
distracts the Indominus
and then
to allow the T-Rex to get up again.
And then there's a little more fight scenes, and then...
Which was badass to see a T-Rex and a Raptor fighting side by side for the
grand finale.
Yeah. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That sort of thing.
Well, and anyway, so they managed to back the Indominus Rex into a corner, which breaks the gate, or the fence around the lagoon.
And that's
basically
Mosasaurus drags that bitch in.
And kills it, we think. We don't actually know if the Indominus Rex is dead.
It would have drowned.
Well, see, the camera cuts off before you... we don't know all...
The other thing is... Mosasaur had the Indominus by the throat.
But the other thing... The T-Rex had the bitch by the throat for several times.
But the Mosasaur in this movie was way bigger than any Tyrannosaur. That Mosasaur basically, in grabbing its neck, would have snapped its neck while drowning it, basically.
Yeah, but you also have to realize that we don't know all the genes that were spliced into this.
You're saying Indominus was a fish?
Well, it had cuttlefish genes put into it.
True, yeah.
And also it had reptile genes, and some reptiles can regenerate limbs. I don't know about a whole head, but it could it did rip out its own tracking.
Yeah, it did rip out its own tracking device.
Which, I mean, that was a healthy chunk of flesh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows if it can...
A chunk that big, there would have been a trail of blood.
Yeah. I mean, there's a decent amount of blood.
I mean, I guess if Indominus had died from bleeding out, we wouldn't have had a movie, but...
Still, if you're going to plant a tracker on a dinosaur like that, put it near its own jugular.
So basically it kills itself, ripping
it out? If it goes to take it out, it kills itself. Although if the track...
in something that's unreachable.
Like its penis.
Its ass. Well, they don't have penises, they're all female.
Then put it up its vagina. Anyway,
Who wants a tracking suppository?
Good news! It's a suppository.
Good news, everyone!
But,
there's your random Futurama reference.
Right. Anyway, so the dinosaurs take over the island yet again.
And the camera pans out, and I swear to God, I expect bombers to come in.
All in all, lots of lives lost.
Families have been destroyed. Time to get moving. To quote George Carlin.
The company the guy that died owned is now bankrupt.
Yeah, Chapter 11, wholehearted.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily understand the point of the tech guy shutting off all the computers at the end, but...
Maybe it's kind of a nod back to when John Hammond at the end of Jurassic Park said, "It's over."
I don't know.
It's symbolic. It's the end of the issue. Problem resolved. The bitch is dead.
We think.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun!
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, but truly, all in all, I'd have to give it a good 8 out of 10.
I wholeheartedly enjoyed the movie, even though it had a few flaws.
All in all, I think
I loved it.
they could have done much worse.
Right.
And with a movie like that, it wouldn't have been hard.
Right. But because the director who did it, fuck, what was his name? Colin Trevorrow, something like that.
Colin Trevorrow? I've never heard of him.
He's pretty much a newcomer to the scene, and for his first really major film, I think he did phenomenal.
And it's been the biggest blockbuster ever.
Yeah, in the 5 days since it came out,
it's grossed over $5.5 million?
$524 million.
So
in just 5 days.
That's GTA 5 grossed $1.3 billion.
Still for a movie.
Still for a movie, though.
At random firework.
Yeah, random firework.
But still, a video game you pay like $60 a pop. Going to see Jurassic World, we paid between the two of us, we paid $13.
Well, that was because we got parking validated.
Right.
Welcome to the joys of adulthood, people. But all in all, worth a good watch.
Definitely worth a good watch.
When I have the money, definitely going to go see it in IMAX 3D.
Right, and I'll probably, when I'm back in Tennessee, I'll probably go see if I can see it up in the Nashville theater in IMAX 3D myself.
Anyway, folks, we hope you've gleaned a bit of enjoyment out of our review.
And or our stupidity.
And our stupidity.
Cheerio.
We'd like to thank you again for watching, and please like and subscribe.
If you're new to the channel, please feel free to share with your friends who might be interested.
Definitely go watch Jurassic World. Give them more money.
Give them more money so they'll do another.
No, don't do not force them into making another one, because if you force somebody into making another one, we'll have another one in 2 years and it'll be shit. We'll find out, won't we? We need to wait at least 5 years before they should give us another one.
That's about the time span between all of the films so far, with the exception of between 3 and Jurassic World. That was a
10-year gap, give or take?
14-year gap. Because I saw it in 2001, back in the theater, back in Dayton.
And on that note, knowing we are really old...
Right.
Again, like and subscribe. We have many more videos coming. And we'll see you all next time.